Adam sat in the cockpit of his fighter, staring out at the expanse of the war-torn galaxy. Stars stretched endlessly, dotted with the glow of distant planets and the fires of conflict. For weeks, humanity had been working alongside their alien allies, coordinating fleets, planning strikes, and attempting to bring stability to sectors torn apart by centuries of war. The coalition was massive: humans, the reptilian calves, the amphibious Valerians, and several smaller species, all united under one banner. At least, that's what they believed. The galaxy had taught Adam one thing: war never followed rules. But he had never imagined betrayal would taste so bitter. "Status report," Adam said, his voice calm, but tense. The communications officer, a blue-scaled calf named Thalric, tapped at his console, his claws clattering against the keys. "All units reporting in, sir. Fleet is in position. Enemy ships detected on the periphery, but nothing unexpected so far." Adam nodded, though unease pressed at the back of his mind. He could feel it, the small twinge of anxiety that whispered of things unseen. Commander Elise, human like him and second-in-command of their fleet, appeared on the main display. Her face was tight, lines of stress carved deep from weeks of near-constant battle. "Adam, keep your eyes open," she said. "Sensors show minor fluctuations in the orbital sectors ahead. Could be debris, could be scouts. I don't like it, but there's no immediate threat. Maintain formation." Adam nodded again, gripping the controls tighter. He had flown through chaos before, but the quiet tension gnawed at him. The fleet moved as one, a brilliant display of engineering and strategy. Human capital ships flanked the alien cruisers, smaller fighters weaving through the void in coordinated patterns. For a moment, Adam allowed himself to breathe. This is what humans did best: adapt, strategize, innovate. Even against overwhelming odds, they could find a way. But the galaxy had a habit of reminding them how fragile even the cleverest minds could be. Then it happened. A sudden signal flashed across all comms, a sharp, unmistakable warning tone. Adam's systems lit up red. "What the?" he muttered, just as the first wave of missiles erupted from the shadows of a previously undetected fleet. The shock hit instantly. Entire human squadrons were obliterated within moments, fighters torn apart in explosions that lit the void like falling stars. Alien allies screamed over comms, confusion and panic threading through every message. Adam's heart pounded in his chest. This wasn't just an ambush. This was betrayal. His eyes scanned the nearby sectors, trying to find the source. That's when he saw them, a fleet emerging from the dark edges of the map, not foreign, not unknown. These were supposed to be allies. The Velari fleet, whose ships had fought beside humans for decades, was firing on their own coalition. Confusion and disbelief hit harder than the enemy missiles. "No, it can't be," Adam whispered, almost to himself. His mind raced. Every protocol, every defensive measure, every coordinated maneuver seemed suddenly useless. "Adam!" Elise's voice cut through the chaos. Her image was shaking, her eyes wide with horror. "It's them, it's the Velari. They've betrayed us." The words hung in the cockpit like a knife. Adam felt bile rise. The humans had trusted these allies. They had coordinated fleets together, planned attacks side by side, shared intelligence and technology, and now this? Betrayal was not just physical. It was existential. The very foundation of trust in the galaxy had cracked. Missiles streaked past his viewport. Adam reacted instinctively, twisting his fighter to avoid destruction. Explosions erupted around him, flares of orange and blue lighting up the darkness. He could see human cruisers under fire, shields faltering. The calves tried to maneuver into defensive formations, but the Velari fleet had anticipated every move. It was precise, efficient, devastating. Adam's hands shook, not from fear of death, but from anger and disbelief. Humanity had prepared for war. They had prepared for enemies. They had never imagined allies could turn so swiftly, so cruelly. A warning light flashed again, signaling the disappearance of a segment of the enemy fleet. Adam squinted, trying to track it. It vanished without a trace, as if swallowed by the void. The sudden absence only deepened the chaos. Were they retreating? Or repositioning for another strike? Adam couldn't tell, and the uncertainty gnawed at him. In war, the unknown was often deadlier than the known, and the disappearance hinted at tactics more clever than he could anticipate. "Form up," Elise barked. "We need to regroup and hold the line." Adam flicked switches, coordinating with the remaining human squadrons. He tried to relay commands to Allied forces, but responses were fragmented, panicked. Confusion spread like wildfire. He could hear screams over the comms, alien voices, human voices, orders being shouted, ignored, or betrayed. The galaxy felt small in that moment, crowded with chaos and death, and Adam felt the crushing weight of responsibility. The Velari ships moved with chilling efficiency. Adam watched as an entire cruiser, one of the larger vessels in the coalition, erupted into fire. Debris spun slowly, like silent meteors, before drifting into darkness. He could see human pilots ejecting, some injured, some lifeless. His chest tightened. This was the first real taste of betrayal in his life, and it left a hollow ache in his gut. Humanity had relied on honor and alliances, and now he realized how fragile that trust could be. "Adam, focus!" Elise shouted, breaking him from his spiraling thoughts. He took a deep breath, forcing his hands steady. "I'm on it," he replied. He scanned the sensors for alternative escape routes, tactical positions, anything that could buy them a moment. The galaxy around them was no longer familiar. Stars seemed distant, indifferent. Space itself felt like an enemy, cold and silent, watching as the coalition faltered. A sudden ping on the sensor display caught his eye, a cloaked fleet moving at incredible speed, cutting across the battlefield. Adam squinted. He didn't recognize the configuration. Was it part of the Velari forces? Or was this a third party? His mind raced. Could there be a hidden player, waiting to exploit the betrayal? He tried to communicate, but every channel was saturated with panic and static. Fear and uncertainty intertwined. The battle raged on. Adam's fighter darted between explosions, dodging debris and laser fire. He saw alien allies trying to regroup, forming small pockets of resistance. The humans fought back as best they could, but numbers were against them. Every maneuver was met with a counter, every strike met with retaliation. Adam's mind raced, calculating angles, predicting enemy vectors. Human ingenuity had saved them before, maybe it could save them again. He thought of the humans who had built these ships, trained these pilots, developed the strategies that had kept them alive across the stars. They had always relied on intelligence and adaptation to survive. Now, they were being tested in ways no one could have predicted. Every decision mattered. Every second could mean life or death. Adam's pulse quickened, and for a moment he felt the crushing weight of the galaxy on his shoulders. Then came the signal, a simple transmission, repeated across all frequencies: "You trusted us. You were fools." The message was unmistakable. Not just words, but intent. Cold, sharp, deliberate. The Velari fleet had chosen betrayal, and they wanted Adam and his allies to know it. Anger flared inside him, burning hotter than fear. Humans had survived countless threats, conquered impossible odds, but this was different. This was personal. The betrayal cut deeper than any weapon could. Adam's hands clenched the controls. "We survive," he muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. "We adapt. We endure. They will not break us." His voice, calm yet fierce, carried a spark of the human spirit that had always defined their species: resilience, courage, and the refusal to surrender, even when the odds were overwhelming. Around him, the coalition struggled, battered but still fighting. Humans and their loyal alien allies, though few, rallied in defiance of the betrayal. The mysterious fleet that had disappeared earlier reappeared at the edge of the sector, moving like shadows in the void. Adam could feel the tension rising. Every eye in the coalition watched, waiting, knowing that this battle would decide not just the war, but the trust and survival of the entire alliance. Humanity had learned a hard lesson: allies could become enemies, trust could be weaponized, and the galaxy was far more treacherous than they had imagined. Adam's mind worked furiously. They needed a plan, a way to survive this ambush, to regroup and strike back. But for now, the immediate challenge was clear: hold the line, save what ships and lives remained, and do not let the betrayal destroy them entirely. The galaxy was unforgiving, but humans had never been ordinary. They adapted. They survived. They evolved. And Adam, staring out at the betrayal before him, knew that this was only the beginning of a war that would test the very limits of human ingenuity, courage, and resilience. As explosions rocked the void, and Allied fleets scattered and regrouped, Adam's resolve hardened. The stars themselves seemed indifferent, but he knew one thing: humans would not surrender. Betrayal could wound them, but it would not break them. Somewhere deep in the galaxy, the spark of hope remained, and Adam would fight to protect it, even if it meant standing alone against the darkness that had once called itself an ally. The void of space seemed quieter after the ambush, but the silence was not peaceful. It was heavy, suffocating, filled with the echoes of explosions that had ripped through fleets only hours before. Adam drifted among the wreckage, his fighter battered but still functional, scanning the remnants of human and Allied ships. The stars, once indifferent witnesses, now seemed cruel, reflecting back the magnitude of the betrayal. The Velari had struck without warning, without mercy, and the coalition had been shattered in minutes. Adam felt the emptiness settle in his chest like a physical weight, pressing down on his lungs, on his thoughts, on his resolve. He opened the comms to check on the remaining human squadrons. Responses were fragmented, static-filled, voices trembling. "Adam, we lost everything," a pilot whispered, barely audible over the interference. Another voice cut in, panicked, shouting coordinates and asking for orders, only to fall silent as their ship systems failed. The sight and sound of loss gnawed at him, but Adam forced himself to stay calm. Panic would not save them. Only action, only clear thought, could. Around him, debris floated endlessly. Twisted hulls of human cruisers and Allied vessels drifted like monuments to a trust betrayed. Adam's hands clenched around the controls. He had expected war, expected chaos, expected enemies, but betrayal from within had been a different kind of violence. It cut deeper, leaving scars on the spirit, not just the flesh. He remembered the first time he had trusted an ally in battle, how humans and calves had coordinated maneuvers flawlessly. And now, that same trust had been weaponized against them. Anger flared inside him, but it was tempered with sorrow. For every vessel destroyed, every life lost, the galaxy had reminded him that survival was never guaranteed, even among supposed friends. Adam's eyes searched the battlefield, looking for survivors. He spotted a handful of human fighters weaving among the wreckage, battered but determined. Their engines flickered, shields down, but the pilots pressed on, refusing to surrender. It was a testament to human resilience, but also a grim reminder of how fragile that resilience could be. He opened a channel. "Form a perimeter," he shouted. "We will regroup, but no one is leaving behind anyone alive if they can help it." His voice carried the weight of authority, calm yet commanding, even as uncertainty gnawed at him. A small shuttle emerged from the wreckage, carrying injured pilots and scientists. Adam guided it to a temporary formation he was improvising. The alien allies were fewer now, scattered by the Velari's precision attacks. Those who survived looked shaken, their faces pale, their features tight with grief and disbelief. Adam felt the same. He knew that after the fire of battle cooled, the true weight of betrayal would settle even heavier. It was one thing to fight enemies, it was another to realize that someone you counted as a partner, someone whose knowledge and coordination you relied on, had intentionally turned against you. In the aftermath, Adam noticed a strange calm in the enemy fleet. The Velari were not celebrating. Their attack had been precise, devastating, but controlled. They seemed to expect fear, chaos, and surrender, and they were not disappointed. For a moment, Adam's rage flared hotter than fear. "They think this ends with us broken," he muttered to himself. "They don't know humans." His voice was quiet, but determined. Even in the shadow of betrayal, human will had not been extinguished. He contacted Commander Elise again, and she appeared on the display, her face streaked with soot and sweat, her uniform torn. "Adam," she said, her voice tight, holding back emotions. "We're alive, barely, but the losses, it's worse than I imagined." Adam's chest ached at the sound of her voice. He understood. He felt the weight of every human life that had perished in the ambush, every alien ally that had fallen alongside them. And yet, he could not allow grief to paralyze him. "Not now. Not ever. We're not done," he said firmly. "We survived the first strike. That means there is still a way forward." Elise's eyes met his, flickering with a mixture of fear and determination. "Forward?" she asked. "Even after this? Even knowing they betrayed us?" Adam nodded. Especially because of that. They may have caught us off guard, but they underestimated what humans can endure. He moved through the battlefield, guiding remaining pilots to regroup at a temporary command post on a nearby station. The station had escaped the ambush, shielded by asteroid fields and cloaked defenses. As Adam landed, he saw crews rushing to repair ships, tend to the wounded, and prepare for what might come next. There was no cheering, no celebration. Only the quiet hum of survival and the determination that humans were not so easily crushed. He felt their resolve echo in him, bolstering his own courage, yet the grief lingered like a shadow that would not lift. In the council chamber of the station, Adam convened what remained of the coalition leaders. Alien delegates looked wary, some angry, some trembling with disbelief. Adam stood before them, not just as a commander, but as a witness to betrayal and survival. "We trusted them," he began, his voice steady but heavy, "and they betrayed us. But our survival is not over. We may be fewer, we may be battered, but we are still here. And while they expected chaos, we will prove that humans, and those who stand with us, adapt, endure, and fight back." Murmurs ran through the chamber, not of agreement yet, but of acknowledgement. The emotional weight of the moment pressed on Adam. He thought of the pilots lost, the cruisers destroyed, the intelligence stolen. Every casualty, every broken alliance, reminded him that the galaxy was more dangerous than they had ever imagined. And yet, even in despair, a spark of determination flickered. Humans had always faced impossible odds. They had survived plagues, invasions, and betrayals. This was no different. It would hurt. It would be painful. But they would endure. Adam stepped outside onto the observation deck of the station. The stars stretched endlessly, indifferent, and yet beautiful. He could see remnants of the battlefield, flickering fires in space where ships had exploded, and shadows of fleeing Veilari vessels. He took a deep breath, letting the cold emptiness of space fill his lungs, and he made a silent vow. "They betrayed us," he whispered, voice steady despite the ache in his chest. "But this is not the end. We will rise. We will claim back what is ours. And they will learn that humans do not surrender, even when the universe itself seems to conspire against them." In that moment, Adam understood the first hard lesson of betrayal in the galaxy. Trust could not be given blindly. Allies could become enemies. And survival required more than courage, it required vigilance, ingenuity, and the unbreakable will to endure. He felt the heavy weight of responsibility settle upon him, pressing at his mind, and yet within it, he also felt the spark of hope. The spark that humans had always carried, the refusal to bow, the refusal to break, and the determination to rise from the ashes, no matter how devastating the betrayal. The council of remaining leaders began to speak, tentative ideas forming, strategies whispered. Adam listened, letting their voices fill the room, but he already knew what had to be done. Humanity would fight, not just for survival, but for justice, for every life lost, for every alliance shattered. And though the galaxy had taught him that trust could be a weapon, he also knew that humans had a weapon the betrayers had not anticipated, the relentless ingenuity and courage that had always defined their species. As the station powered up, sensors scanning for further threats, Adam stood at the edge of the observation deck, watching the distant stars. The first shock of betrayal had passed, but the aftermath was just beginning. Human hearts burned with grief, yes, but also with determination. The Veilari had struck, expecting fear, confusion, and surrender. Instead, they had awoken a resolve that no fleet, no weapon, no betrayal could ever extinguish. Adam's hands tightened around the railing. "We survived," he whispered, "and we will rise. They think betrayal is the end, but it is only the beginning. We will adapt. We will fight. We will endure. And when the time comes, they will know what it means to betray humanity." Outside, the galaxy spun silently, indifferent, but within Adam's heart, and the hearts of the survivors, a quiet fire began to burn. It was the fire of vengeance tempered by intelligence, grief transformed into determination, and betrayal turned into the motivation to rise stronger than ever. Humanity was down, but not defeated. And Adam understood this more clearly than ever. Survival was only the first step. The real fight, the claim for justice, the reclaiming of what had been stolen, was just beginning. The station was quiet now, but it was not peaceful. Outside, the void of space stretched endlessly, indifferent to the suffering and survival of those within. Adam walked the corridors, his boots echoing softly against the metal floors, the hum of machinery and distant alarms a constant reminder of the betrayal that had just occurred. He paused at the observation window, staring out at the distant flicker of stars, thinking of the lives lost, the ships destroyed, and the trust shattered in the blink of an eye. The survivors had gathered in the station's main command chamber. Human pilots, engineers, and alien allies sat in tense silence, their faces etched with fatigue, grief, and disbelief. The betrayal by the Velari fleet had left everyone shaken, and the room pulsed with unspoken questions. Who could be trusted? How could they fight back against a betrayal so calculated, so precise? Every eye turned to Adam, knowing he had seen the battlefield, had survived, and now carried the responsibility of guiding them forward. He stepped to the center of the room, his expression calm but resolute. "We are alive," he began, voice carrying steadily despite the weight pressing on him. "Yes, we have suffered losses, and yes, we have been betrayed. But survival is not enough. Survival without purpose is meaningless. We need a plan that turns betrayal into opportunity, that ensures this will never happen again, and that shows the galaxy that humans do not break under deceit." The alien leaders exchanged glances. Some were skeptical. Some were afraid. Adam ignored the murmurs and focused on the map projected before them, showing the current positions of the Velari fleet and the scattered remnants of the coalition. "They believe they've crippled us," he continued. "They believe fear and chaos will keep us divided. They are wrong. They underestimate what humans can endure, what humans can imagine, and what humans can execute when pushed to the edge." His words carried the spark of defiance, a reminder that even in despair, the human spirit burned bright. Adam laid out the first part of the strategy, reconnaissance. Small teams of human and loyal alien pilots would survey the remaining Velari positions, identify weak points, and locate key supply lines. "We do not charge blindly," he said. "We do not seek revenge for the sake of anger. We seek control over what they have stolen and precision in how we respond. Our strike will be calculated, smart, and unavoidable." The words stirred hope, but also fear. Calculated attacks required patience, and patience demanded courage in the face of uncertainty. One of the alien leaders, a tall Carve named Thalric, leaned forward. "You expect us to trust humans again after such losses?" he asked, voice rough with skepticism. "We survived together before. You were betrayed, yet you still speak of strategy instead of despair." "That is human ingenuity at its finest," Adam replied, his eyes meeting Thalric's. "Trust is earned in action, not words. Right now, we act. Every ship, every squadron, every pilot who remains will contribute. We will rebuild faster, strike smarter, and ensure no betrayal can ever catch us off guard again." Maps flickered, markers moved, calculations appeared in real time as Adam coordinated teams. Humans and aliens worked together, murmuring strategies, checking sensor readings, and estimating enemy capabilities. The room buzzed with tension and anticipation, a delicate balance between fear and determination. Adam felt the pressure settle in his mind like gravity, but instead of crushing him, it focused him. The betrayal had shaken them, yes, but it had also revealed the truth. Humans thrived under impossible odds because they adapted faster than anyone else. Next, he outlined the offensive strategy. They would strike not with brute force, but with precision. Supply depots, key communication hubs, and the Velari's command ships would be targeted first. "We hit them where it hurts," he said. "Not to destroy them entirely, yet, but to make them pay attention. To show them that betrayal comes at a cost." His voice was steady, but the emotional weight beneath it was undeniable. Every pilot in the room understood. This was personal, but it was also bigger than vengeance. It was about survival, honor, and reclaiming what had been stolen. Adam paused, letting the gravity of the plan sink in. "We cannot afford mistakes," he said. "Every move will be scrutinized. Every decision will carry consequences. But remember this, humans survive because we learn faster, adapt faster, and fight smarter than anyone expects. Betrayal does not define us. It sharpens us. It makes us more dangerous than they realize." His eyes scanned the room, lingering on the young pilots who had lost comrades moments ago. "You carry the weight of loss, but that weight can be turned into strength. Focus it. Use it. Do not let them take more from you than they already have." The Council discussed resources. Engineers outlined repairs for damaged ships. Pilots volunteered for reconnaissance runs. Alien allies offered intelligence and tactical advice, cautiously but with renewed respect for human leadership. Adam's plan was not just a map or a sequence of maneuvers, it was a call to resilience, a strategy rooted in intellect, adaptation, and the unbreakable will of humanity. As hours passed, the crew and allied leaders began to see a glimmer of hope. The initial shock of betrayal had been replaced by focus, strategy, and purpose. Adam's calm, determined leadership anchored them. Even in the aftermath of disaster, they were beginning to see a path forward, a way to reclaim what had been stolen and to strike back at those who had turned on them. But Adam knew the plan's success would not come from strategy alone. It required courage, ingenuity, and sacrifice. He looked out the observation window once more, the stars stretching endlessly, indifferent to human suffering, indifferent to alliances broken, indifferent to war itself. Yet, within that vast emptiness, he could feel the spark of possibility. The Velari believed they had won. They had underestimated the resolve of humans who had survived betrayal, who had stared death in the eye, and who were now ready to turn their ingenuity into action. A message pinged on the main console, showing a small, unmarked fleet moving in the distance. Adam studied it carefully. Could it be another betrayal? Another hidden enemy? Or was it a potential advantage? Suspense gnawed at him, but he kept his voice steady as he addressed the council. "We move forward with caution," he said. "We strike with precision. And we prepare for the unexpected, because in this galaxy, betrayal is always a possibility. But remember this, humans do not break. We endure. We adapt. And when the time comes, we take back everything that was stolen." As the planning session drew to a close, the survivors began to feel the first stirrings of hope. They were battered, grief-stricken, and shaken, but Adam's strategy had given them direction. The betrayal had been devastating, but it had also revealed something crucial: humans thrived when pushed to the edge. Every obstacle, every loss, every moment of fear was an opportunity to demonstrate resilience, intelligence, and ingenuity. The galaxy would learn that humans were not just survivors, they were a force that adapted, evolved, and struck back when cornered. Adam remained at the command console long after the council dispersed. The station was quiet, the stars beyond silent, yet he could feel the weight of what was to come. The plan had been made. The strategy set. But the real test, the test of courage, skill, and human ingenuity, was only beginning. Somewhere out there, the Velari fleet waited, confident in their betrayal, confident that humans and their allies were broken. They were wrong. Adam felt it in his bones, in his mind, and in the fire that burned in the hearts of every human who had survived the ambush. He whispered to himself, quietly but fiercely, "They betrayed us, yes. But they do not understand what humans can do when survival demands it. We will rise. We will strike. And they will learn that betrayal against humanity carries a cost they can never imagine." In the aftermath of disaster, in the quiet moments before the storm of retaliation, Adam understood the truth that had always defined humanity. Even in grief, even in fear, even in the face of overwhelming odds, humans endured. And endurance, he knew, was only the beginning of what they could achieve. Adam stood on the observation deck of the hidden station, the glow of distant stars reflecting in his eyes. The moment had come. Days of planning, calculations, and sleepless hours had led to this. The first offensive move against the Velari fleet, the betrayers who had struck at humanity and their allies without warning. His hands rested lightly on the railing, but inside, his mind raced, mapping every possible outcome, predicting every enemy response. This was not just a strike. This was a statement. Humanity had been wounded, betrayed, and underestimated. Now, it was time to remind the galaxy what humans were capable of. The fleet assembled quietly, each ship scanning for threats, engines humming with controlled precision. Smaller human fighters darted between massive capital ships, weaving intricate patterns designed to confuse enemy sensors. Loyal alien allies moved in synchrony, cautious but determined, forming flanking formations that complemented human tactics. Adam felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. Any misstep could cost more lives, and yet, the alternative was inaction. Hesitation had already cost too much. "Remember," Adam said over comms, voice calm but firm, "we strike with precision. We hit where it hurts, but we do not overextend. The Velari expect panic. They expect chaos. We give them neither. Keep your focus, trust your instincts, and watch for the unexpected. Above all, survive. His words rippled through the fleet, grounding pilots, reassuring allies, and igniting a quiet fire of determination. This was human ingenuity in motion, a combination of strategy, skill, and unyielding will. The first targets were identified: supply convoys, lightly defended command vessels, and communications hubs. Adam watched as the strike teams maneuvered, moving like shadows across the battlefield, avoiding detection until the final moment. Smaller fighters used cloaking fields, drones moved silently, and human engineers had developed devices to jam enemy sensors just long enough to pass unnoticed. Each maneuver was calculated, each movement precise. Humans did not rely on brute force, they relied on adaptation, on cleverness, on speed and intelligence. The first explosion lit up the darkness of space. A Velari supply ship erupted, sending debris spinning outward in a glittering halo. Pilots cheered quietly, but Adam did not smile. Losses were still heavy, and every victory carried the weight of those who had fallen. "Good," he muttered, "but stay sharp. They will respond." And respond they did. From the shadows, enemy vessels began to converge, rushing toward the site of the strike. The Velari were precise, disciplined, and ruthless, but humans had anticipated them. Adam's fighter darted forward, weaving between laser blasts and debris. He guided a small squadron to intercept incoming enemy ships, using calculated maneuvers that combined speed, unpredictability, and clever timing. A human pilot named Jorah shouted over comms, excitement and fear mingling in her voice, "They didn't see us coming." Adam's jaw tightened. They had not only survived the betrayal, they had turned it into an opportunity. The battle escalated quickly. Explosions lit the void, flares from destroyed ships streaking past in a deadly dance. The Velari fought with skill and aggression, but Adam's fleet was coordinated, adaptive, and relentless. Every maneuver demonstrated why humans were considered unpredictable and clever across the galaxy. The small human squadron struck at weak points, disabled weapon systems, and jammed communication lines. Alien allies followed, disrupting enemy formations, creating openings for human fighters to exploit. Amid the chaos, Adam noticed a small command cruiser attempting to retreat toward the edge of the sector. Its shields were intact, but its formation was fractured. "Target that cruiser," he ordered, voice steady, eyes narrowing. "Disable it, but capture if possible. We need intelligence. We need to understand their next move." Pilots moved with precision, converging on the target. Lasers scorched through the vacuum, engines flared, and finally, the cruiser's shields failed under coordinated pressure. Humans did not destroy it outright. They disabled, contained, and captured. Knowledge, Adam knew, was more powerful than destruction. Suddenly, the unexpected happened. A secondary fleet emerged, previously unseen, moving faster than any known Velari ship. Panic threatened to ripple through Adam's forces, but he kept calm. Humans thrived under pressure, and their adaptability was their greatest weapon. "Form defensive perimeters," he shouted. "Use decoys, draw them out, exploit their predictability." Pilots responded instantly, creating false signatures, luring the enemy into narrow corridors where human ingenuity could dominate. The secondary fleet advanced, thinking they had caught the humans off guard. Instead, they were met with a trap. Adam had anticipated their arrival, positioning fighters in flanking maneuvers, with hidden turrets and drones ready to strike. Explosions erupted around the enemy, missiles intercepted mid-flight, ships disabled without a single human loss. The Velari had underestimated human creativity and coordination, and it showed. As the battle raged, Adam watched his squadron, seeing their courage, determination, and skill. These humans had survived betrayal, and now they were reclaiming agency in a galaxy that sought to break them. The Velari had expected fear and chaos. Instead, they faced precision, intelligence, and relentless resolve. Every move, every calculation, every decision reflected the essence of humanity: survival against all odds, brilliance under pressure, and an unyielding will to endure. Despite the intensity, Adam felt the emotional weight pressing down. He had witnessed death and destruction, betrayal and loss. The fires of space illuminated the fallen ships and the brave who fought alongside them. Each victory was tempered by grief. Pilots he had known, engineers who had built these machines, were now gone. Every loss was personal. Every calculation carried the weight of lives. But he could not falter. The humans survived not because they were invincible, but because they refused to give up, even when the universe seemed determined to crush them. Hours passed in what felt like moments. The first strike was complete. Strategic targets had been hit, key enemy systems disabled, and the Velari forced to retreat and regroup. Human and allied casualties were minimized, and morale began to recover, fragile but growing. Adam allowed himself a moment to breathe, staring out at the battlefield now littered with smoldering remnants of the Velari's arrogance. He felt a quiet, emotional pride, not just for the strategy's success, but for the resilience of the human spirit. They had been betrayed. They had faced overwhelming odds. They had survived, adapted, and struck back with brilliance. Humanity had turned grief into determination, betrayal into strategy, and chaos into a weapon. The galaxy was beginning to see the truth. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, fighters, and unyielding. Adam knew this was only the beginning. The first strike had proven one thing: betrayal could not break them. Humanity would endure. They would plan, adapt, and strike again. And when they did, the Velari would learn that underestimating humans came at a cost no empire could afford. He turned to his pilots and allies, voice calm but firm. We survive today. We learn today. And tomorrow, we strike again. Precision. Intelligence. Resolve. That is how humans fight, and that is how we will win. The fleet moved to regroup, the stars around them indifferent, the void silent once more. But within the hearts of every human and loyal ally, a fire burned brighter than ever, a fire of resilience, ingenuity, and the unbreakable will to endure. Adam watched them, knowing that the first strike was not just a victory, it was a declaration. Humanity had been betrayed, yes, but betrayal could not destroy what was clever, determined, and unyielding. And in that knowledge, Adam felt the spark of hope, courage, and the certainty that the war was far from over, but humanity would face it, and they would prevail. The silence after the first strike did not last long. Adam watched the stars from the observation deck of the station, the flickering lights outside a constant reminder that the galaxy never paused for grief or reflection. The Velari fleet, though shaken by the humans' precision attack, was regrouping. Adam knew they would retaliate, and when they did, it would be brutal. Their vengeance would be swift, calculated, and merciless. The betrayal had cut deep, but now it was time to face the fury it had unleashed. He convened the remaining leaders in the command chamber. The room was tense, every face showed fatigue, fear, and determination in equal measure. Humans and alien allies alike carried the emotional scars of the ambush and the first strike. "They will come for us," Adam said plainly, his voice steady, though heavy with the weight of responsibility. "The Velari are precise, ruthless, and angry. They underestimated us once, but they will not again. We must be ready, not just to defend, but to survive, to adapt, and to turn their attack into an advantage." Loyal alien allies checked their ships, weapons, and shields. Engineers tapped at consoles, repairing and reinforcing systems damaged in the first strike. Adam moved among them, offering quiet words of reassurance, but also maintaining focus. Panic could not spread. The humans had survived betrayal and executed a successful strike. Now they had to survive retaliation. He could see the fear in their eyes, but he also saw courage, the quiet determination that defined humanity. Then, the sensors flared red. A massive Velari fleet had emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the sector, faster and larger than intelligence had predicted. They had learned from the first strike and moved with calculated fury. Adam's heart tightened, but he did not falter. "All units, battle stations," he ordered. "They think they can overwhelm us. They will learn what it means to underestimate humans." Pilots scrambled into their fighters, engines flaring. Capital ships moved into defensive formations. The counterattack had begun. The first wave hit with devastating force. Laser fire tore through the void, missiles streaked across the darkness, and explosions erupted in violent bursts. Adam maneuvered his fighter expertly, weaving between debris and enemy fire. The Velari were relentless, pressing the humans to their limits. He could see ships faltering, shields failing, engines flaring with damage. Panic threatened to spread, but Adam's calm voice over the comms kept order. Hold your positions. Focus. Adapt. His presence steadied the fleet, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humans did not break. In the chaos, Adam noticed something unusual. A squadron of Veilari fighters broke formation, moving in a pattern that suggested either a trap or miscalculation. His mind raced. Humans thrived on exploiting mistakes. Jorah, take the lead and flank them, he shouted to one of the best pilots. Use the debris fields. Force them into a kill zone. Her voice came back through the comms, tinged with fear but bright with determination. Understood, Adam. Let's do this. As the squadron moved, the humans exploited every advantage. Missiles intercepted mid-flight, energy shields pulsed, and hidden drones emerged from the shadows of the debris field, striking the Veilari with precision. Every move reflected human ingenuity, adaptive tactics, split-second calculations, and unyielding courage. Adam watched as the enemy's formation began to falter, their cohesion breaking under pressure they had not anticipated. Even in retaliation, humanity's cleverness shone. But the cost was visible everywhere. Pilots he had known, engineers he had worked with, ships he had watched built, were now casualties. Adam's chest ached with the weight of loss, but grief was a luxury he could not afford. He had to focus, to calculate, to survive, and to ensure that every life lost meant something, that every sacrifice contributed to the counterattack. We survive because we fight smart, he reminded himself. We endure because we adapt. The Veilari fleet adjusted, sending in a second wave, faster, more coordinated, determined to crush the humans. Adam anticipated their moves, guiding the fleet through narrow passages between asteroids, using the terrain to neutralize the enemy's numbers. The battle became a dance of precision and intelligence, humans using speed and clever tactics to offset the enemy's superior firepower. Explosions flared around them, but every maneuver, every calculated strike, demonstrated why humanity had earned a reputation across the stars. During the battle, Adam noticed an injured alien cruiser struggling to maintain formation. Without hesitation, he directed his fighter to provide cover, shielding the vessel from enemy fire until it could regain control. The move was risky, exposing him to multiple enemy ships, but the humans had learned the value of unity, even after betrayal. Protecting allies, even flawed ones, was a testament to human adaptability and morality under fire. Hours stretched into what felt like days. The counterattack pressed on, and slowly, imperceptibly, the tide began to turn. The Veilari had expected chaos and disarray. Instead, they encountered order, precision, and relentless determination. Every human pilot, every loyal alien ally, adapted to the evolving battlefield, exploiting weaknesses, improvising, and turning the fury of the enemy against them. Adam watched, pride and sorrow mingling, as their plan unfolded. By the time the Veilari retreated, battered and confused, the human fleet had survived against impossible odds. Ships were damaged, lives were lost, but the survivors had proven something crucial. Betrayal could wound them, but it could not break them. Humans had turned grief and anger into strategy, turning near defeat into a demonstration of resilience and intelligence. Adam stood on the observation deck once more, staring at the distant stars. The counterattack had been successful, but the cost was not forgotten. He felt the weight of every life lost, the echoes of betrayal, and the emotional scars that would linger. And yet, within that weight, there was also a spark, a reminder that humans endured, adapted, and thrived even in the most hopeless circumstances. He whispered quietly, almost to himself, "They struck at us, betrayed us, and thought it would be the end. But they forgot one thing: humans do not surrender. We fight, we adapt, and we endure. And one day, we will reclaim everything they stole, and they will pay for their betrayal." The fleet regrouped, battered but alive. Pilots tended to injured comrades, engineers worked tirelessly to repair damaged ships, and Adam moved among them, offering guidance and reassurance. The counterattack had been more than a victory, it had been proof. Proof that humans, even after betrayal and near annihilation, could adapt, survive, and strike back with brilliance. Outside, the void of space remained silent and indifferent, but within the hearts of the survivors, a fire burned brighter than ever. They had survived betrayal, adapted to impossible odds, and fought back with precision and courage. Humanity had endured, and the galaxy would soon learn that to betray humans was to awaken a force that could not be broken. Adam knew the war was far from over, But one truth had become clear: humans did not falter under betrayal. They did not surrender under impossible odds. And in that knowledge, in that quiet, unyielding resolve, he felt the unmistakable spark of hope, determination, and the certainty that the fight was only beginning, but humanity would prevail. The aftermath of the counterattack left the fleet battered, but unbroken. Adam stood on the observation deck of the station, staring into the endless void. The distant stars twinkled coldly, indifferent to the struggles below, but Adam's mind was alive with thought. The Velari had retreated, regrouped, and would strike again. Humanity had survived once, even twice, but survival alone would not secure victory. To fight the betrayers and reclaim what was theirs, they needed more than courage. They needed an advantage, a weapon that even the most cunning enemy could not anticipate. The station's engineers had been working tirelessly, repairing damaged ships, recalibrating weapons, and analyzing debris from the battlefield. It was during one of these scans that Lieutenant Mara, a young human pilot with an eye for detail, discovered something unusual: a faint energy signature, buried beneath layers of cosmic interference, emanating from a small, uncharted sector. It was ancient, unlike any technology Adam had ever seen, and it pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. Adam studied the data, his brow furrowed. Could it be a weapon? He asked aloud. His voice carried curiosity, suspicion, and a hint of hope. Mara shook her head. Not exactly a weapon, at least, not in any conventional sense. It's more like a system, left behind by a civilization long extinct. But it's powerful, Adam. If we can understand it, harness it, it could change everything. Adam's heart pounded. Humanity had survived betrayals, attacks, and impossible odds before, but an advantage like this could turn the tide decisively. The discovery ignited a spark of determination across the station. Engineers, scientists, and tacticians gathered around the console, analyzing every fragment of data. Adam watched as the team worked tirelessly, decoding alien scripts, running simulations, and cautiously testing hypotheses. The emotional weight in the room was palpable. Every life lost in the ambush, every ship destroyed, every betrayal, they were all reminders of the stakes. If this discovery could be harnessed, it would honor those sacrifices. If not, humanity risked being crushed in the next strike. Adam spent hours with the team, studying schematics and data. He realized the system was not just a weapon, it was a relic of an advanced civilization that had mastered manipulation of energy and space itself. In the right hands, it could shield entire fleets, disrupt enemy communications, or even disable ships without firing a shot. The implications were staggering. For the first time since the betrayal, Adam felt a flicker of hope, tempered by the knowledge of how difficult it would be to control such power. Emotional tension ran high. Mara's hand shook as she tapped at the console, recalibrating energy signatures. It's responding, she whispered. I think it recognizes us. Adam leaned closer, feeling a strange mix of awe and fear. Recognition implied intelligence, or at least a system designed to interact with intelligent life. That intelligence could be the key to turning the tide of war, but it also carried immense risk. A single miscalculation could destroy the fleet, the station, and possibly even the sector. Adam called for a briefing with the remaining commanders. The room was tense. The aliens who had survived the ambush and counterattack looked at the projections with a mixture of skepticism and awe. Adam explained the discovery carefully, emphasizing both the potential and the risks. We have found something extraordinary, he said. It is not just a weapon. It is a tool, a system left behind by a civilization long gone. If we can harness it, we can gain an advantage the Velari will never anticipate. But we must be cautious. One mistake, and it could destroy us instead of aiding us. One of the alien leaders, Thalric, leaned forward, voice low and wary. You speak of power beyond our understanding. How can we trust it? How can we know it will not betray us, as the Velari did? Adam met his gaze. We cannot know, he admitted. But we have survived betrayal, attacks, and near annihilation. Humans endure because we adapt, because we learn, because we take risks when necessary. This could be the tool that ensures we survive the next strike and reclaim what was taken. We must try. With agreement from the council, a team was assembled to study the system directly. Adam volunteered to oversee the operation personally. He felt the emotional weight of every life lost, every betrayal, pressing on his mind. The system represented not just survival, but justice, a chance to reclaim what the Velari had stolen and to strike back with intelligence and precision. As they approached the sector, tension filled the air. Every sensor scan, every calculation was scrutinized. One wrong move could be fatal. When they arrived, the relic emerged from the shadows of a dying star. Its design was unlike anything they had ever encountered: geometric patterns, pulsing energy conduits, and an almost organic flow to its architecture. The fleet hovered cautiously, shields raised, engines ready for rapid maneuver. Adam's heart raced. "Approach slowly," he ordered. "Let's understand it before we touch it." The pilots obeyed, weaving between asteroids and debris, each movement careful and deliberate. As Adam and his team moved closer, the system reacted. Lights pulsed along its surface, and a faint resonance echoed through the fleet sensors. It was alive, or at least responsive. A calm voice came through the translation protocols, synthetic yet somehow soothing, recognized. Alignment compatible. Initiate interface. Adam's hands shook slightly as he tapped the console. "Yes," he said. The fleet held its breath. Humanity's fate, and the next phase of their war, hung in the balance. The system's energy flowed into the human consoles, integrating with their ships, augmenting shields, amplifying weapons, and creating possibilities that had previously seemed impossible. Adam felt a thrill of emotion: pride, fear, hope, and determination mingling in a powerful surge. Humanity had survived betrayal, adapted to overwhelming odds, and now had the opportunity to wield an advantage that no one could have predicted. Even as the fleet marveled at the discovery, Adam knew the stakes were higher than ever. The Velari would not remain idle, and the use of this system could provoke their full fury. But humans had never been ordinary, and Adam understood that survival required more than caution. It required courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. He looked out at the fleet, at the pilots, engineers, and alien allies who had survived so much, and spoke quietly, but firmly: "We have discovered a tool that can give us a chance. It is dangerous, yes, but it is also ours to wield. We survived betrayal. We survived the counterattack. And now, we prepare for what comes next." The Velari believe they have the advantage. They are wrong. Humanity does not falter. We endure. We adapt. And when the time comes, we strike back stronger than ever. For the first time since the ambush, a sense of hope settled over the fleet. The emotional weight of loss remained, but it was tempered by purpose. Humanity had been betrayed, attacked, and pushed to the brink, but the discovery offered a new path, a way to turn grief into strategy and survival into victory. The spark of human ingenuity burned brighter than ever, and Adam knew that the next battle would test not only their skill, but their courage, their intellect, and their unbreakable will. The stars outside remained silent, indifferent, but within the hearts of the humans and their loyal allies, a quiet fire had been lit, a fire that promised that humanity would endure, adapt, and rise, no matter the odds, no matter the betrayal, no matter the darkness ahead. And in that knowledge, Adam felt a surge of resolve. The discovery was only the beginning, but it was a beginning that could change everything. Adam paced the command chamber, the weight of the discovery heavy on his shoulders. The ancient system they had uncovered could shift the balance of the war, but it was only a tool, not a solution. To wield it effectively, humanity needed allies, loyal, trustworthy, and capable. The betrayal by the Velari had shown painfully that not all could be trusted, and yet, in the aftermath of devastation, Adam knew he could not fight alone. Survival required unity, coordination, and careful diplomacy. The surviving alien leaders gathered, their expressions cautious. Some were wary of humans' rising influence after the first strike and the discovery, while others were still reeling from betrayal and loss. Adam understood their hesitation. Trust had been broken, alliances shattered, and fear lingered in every gaze. Yet, humanity had endured, adapted, and struck back. Now, they needed to forge bonds stronger than fear, calculated alliances that could withstand the fury of the Velari. Adam addressed them, his voice calm but firm. "We have survived the ambush. We have executed the first strike. We have turned the Velari's retaliation into opportunity. But the war is not over, and it will not be won by humans alone. We need your cooperation, not just because it benefits us, but because our survival depends on it. Together, we can turn betrayal into defeat for our enemies." The room was silent. Every leader weighed his words carefully, their experiences tempered by the fresh wounds of war. Adam continued. I understand hesitation. I understand fear. But I also understand the strength humans possess, not just in combat, but in ingenuity, in endurance, and in our ability to adapt. You have seen it. You have survived with us. The choice now is clear: stand with humanity, or risk being left vulnerable to an enemy that has already proven it will not hesitate to destroy those it betrays. The tension was palpable. Thalric, the Carve leader, spoke first. You ask us to trust humans after betrayal and chaos. Yet you offer no guarantees. How do we know that aligning with you is not simply risking our survival again? Adam met his gaze steadily. Because we have survived the impossible, he said quietly but with intensity. We have been betrayed, attacked, and faced annihilation. And we are still here. That resilience, that intelligence, and that determination, those are guarantees in themselves. We will not fail. We adapt. We endure. And we fight with precision. Join us, and you join not just a fleet, but a force that will outthink and outmaneuver our enemies. Slowly, the leaders began to respond. Some still hesitated, others weighed the risks against their losses. The conversation was long, tense, and filled with emotion, voices rising, pausing, softening, hardened by grief and loss. But Adam remained calm, answering questions, demonstrating the humans' capabilities, and emphasizing the potential of the ancient system they had discovered. Every word carried not arrogance, but experience, intelligence, and hope, the qualities that had allowed humanity to survive so far. Finally, a small council of leaders agreed to formalize a renewed alliance, vowing to coordinate fleets, share intelligence, and protect one another against further betrayal. Adam felt a surge of relief, tempered by the knowledge that this alliance was fragile. Trust could be tested, and the Velari would undoubtedly attempt to exploit it. Yet, this was progress, a step toward uniting those willing to fight for survival, justice, and reclaiming what had been lost. With the alliance forming, Adam turned his attention to coordination. Ships were reconfigured for joint maneuvers, communication protocols standardized, and strategy sessions held to integrate human ingenuity with alien technology. Emotional tension ran high. Every leader remembered the cost of betrayal and the weight of lives lost. Yet, beneath that tension was a growing sense of purpose and determination. The survivors understood that the future depended on unity, precision, and trust earned through action rather than words. During a planning session, Adam walked among the pilots and engineers, listening to suggestions, observing their focus, and offering encouragement. One young pilot, barely recovered from the ambush, hesitated as he reviewed tactical simulations. Adam placed a steady hand on his shoulder. We have survived worse than this, he said softly. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, and trust that every action counts. We are stronger than they think, and together, we are unstoppable. The pilot's eyes brightened, resolve replacing fear, and Adam felt the quiet power of human leadership in action. As the Alliance finalized plans, intelligence came in of a hidden Velari fleet moving in secret, attempting to disrupt the fragile coalition before it could become a real threat. Adam's heart tightened. The betrayal was not over. The enemy had learned, adapted, and now sought to exploit divisions before the Alliance could fully coordinate. Yet, this knowledge only sharpened human resolve. Every challenge was an opportunity to demonstrate ingenuity, courage, and the ability to endure beyond expectations. Adam stood on the observation deck once more, gazing at the distant stars, thinking of the lives lost and the weight of responsibility. Every human pilot, every alien ally, every survivor of the ambush and counterattack was now part of something greater, a coalition forged in adversity, strengthened by intelligence, and guided by the unyielding will of humanity. He knew the next confrontation would be brutal, unpredictable, and high stakes. But he also knew that humans had survived betrayal, counterattacks, and near annihilation before. And in this new alliance, they were not alone. He whispered quietly, not for anyone to hear, but for himself and the fleet, we have survived betrayal. We have endured attack. We have discovered power beyond imagination. And now, we unite. Together, we will face what comes next, and the Velari will learn that betrayal against humans carries a cost they cannot imagine. The stars outside remained indifferent, but within the fleet, a fire burned brighter than ever. Humans and allies, bonded by survival, determination, and shared purpose, prepared to face the next battle. The alliance was fragile, the stakes higher than ever, but the emotional weight of trust, hope, and resilience filled the command chamber. Humanity had survived betrayal, and now they were ready to survive everything else the galaxy could throw at them. Together, the newly formed alliance had barely settled into routine when sensors flared red, screaming an alarm through the station. Adam's heart tightened as he stared at the readings. A fleet had emerged from hyperspace, its composition unfamiliar yet unmistakably Veilari. This was no ordinary attack, it was calculated, precise, and far larger than any force the humans and their allies had faced in weeks. Every indicator screamed ambush. Every instinct shouted danger. Adam's fingers danced across the console, issuing orders with practiced efficiency. All units, battle stations. Shield modulation at maximum. Formation Delta, intercept and scout ahead. His voice was calm, but inside, adrenaline surged. He understood the stakes. A wrong move could fracture the alliance, destroy ships, and crush hope. Yet, panic was a luxury they could not afford. Humans survived because they acted where others froze, adapted where others stumbled, and saw opportunity in chaos. The fleet moved into position, weaving between asteroids, debris fields, and the remnants of previous skirmishes. Every maneuver was deliberate, designed to minimize exposure and exploit the enemy's predictable patterns. Still, Adam could see it in the sensors. The Veilari had anticipated human ingenuity, aligning their ships to counter the humans' adaptive tactics. It was a deadly chess game, and Adam knew they were not just being attacked, they were being tested. The first salvo hit. Explosions ripped through space, fireballing debris scattering in every direction. Shields shimmered under the impact, absorbing blows but straining under pressure. Human pilots screamed over comms, voices thick with tension and fear. Yet even in the chaos, Adam's leadership was steady. Hold formation. Focus on the weak points. Every action counts. His words grounded the fleet, providing direction in the storm of fire and destruction. A group of human fighters flanked an enemy frigate, weaving through laser streams and debris. Adam watched as Jorah, one of their most skilled pilots, executed a maneuver that drew enemy fire away from weaker allies, risking her ship to protect others. Adam felt the familiar ache of grief and pride together. This was human courage, raw and unyielding, shining even in the face of near-certain death. The Veilari fleet moved with calculated aggression, trying to lure the humans into narrow corridors where their superior firepower could dominate. Adam anticipated it. He issued orders to split formations, deploy decoys, and use the ancient system they had discovered to create electromagnetic distortions, confusing enemy sensors. Every move was high stakes, every decision weighed lives and survival against strategic advantage. Humans were no longer merely reacting, they were dictating the flow of the battle. Amid the chaos, Adam noticed a Veilari command ship attempting to bypass the front lines, likely to strike at the station itself. The thought made his chest tighten. If that ship reached the station, the alliance would collapse, and countless lives would be lost. Without hesitation, he led a squadron directly toward it, weaving between enemy fire, dodging missiles and lasers. Each movement was a calculated risk, an expression of human adaptability and courage. As the squadron engaged the command ship, a massive shockwave from a nearby explosion rocked the battlefield, sending debris spinning into the human fighters. Pilots struggled to maintain control, systems overloaded, and communication lines faltered. Panic threatened, but Adam remained focused. He guided the squadron with precision, using every trick they had learned since the ambush and first strike. The human ingenuity that had survived betrayal and counterattacks now danced across the battlefield, unpredictable and deadly. The command ship fired a devastating beam toward the station, and for a moment, hope seemed fragile. But Adam had anticipated this. Using the ancient system, they created a temporary shield, absorbing the impact without catastrophic damage. Cheers erupted over the comms, but Adam did not smile. Every victory in this trap was tempered by awareness. One mistake, and the fleet could be annihilated. Hours stretched like days. The Veilari tested every flank, every formation, every human instinct. Yet, Adam and the fleet adapted constantly. Pilots improvised maneuvers, engineers recalibrated weapons mid-battle, and allies executed strategies in perfect coordination. The human spirit, the will to endure, to adapt, to outthink, manifested in every calculated strike and every courageous risk. Amid the fighting, Adam caught a glimpse of the enemy's morale wavering. Despite their size, precision, and firepower, the Velari had underestimated the resilience of humans and their allies. Every countermove, every adaptive maneuver, every clever use of the ancient system chipped away at the enemy's advantage. Grief, fear, and betrayal had forged humans into a force that refused to break, and now that force was proving itself in the crucible of ambush. By the time the trap began to collapse, the Velari were retreating, battered and confused. Humans had survived the test, not unscathed, not without loss, but victorious nonetheless. Adam's chest heaved with exhaustion and relief. The Alliance had faced near annihilation and endured. Every life lost weighed on him, every ship damaged reminded him of the stakes, but the unyielding determination of humanity and their allies had turned the trap into an opportunity. He turned to the pilots, engineers, and alien allies, voice calm but carrying the emotional weight of survival. We have survived betrayal, counterattack, and now a trap meant to destroy us. We are battered, but we endure. Every life lost is remembered, every sacrifice honored. And the galaxy will know, humans adapt. Humans endure. And humans never surrender. As the fleet regrouped, Adam stared at the stars, thinking of those who had fallen and those who had survived. The trap had tested them to the limits of courage, ingenuity, and endurance. Yet, through it all, humanity had proven itself, clever, resilient, and unbroken. The Velari had thought betrayal and overwhelming force could crush them, but they had underestimated the human spirit. A quiet fire burned within Adam. The trap had been dangerous, but it had also revealed something crucial. Humanity and their allies, united and adaptive, were more than capable of facing any threat. The Velari would learn, soon enough, that underestimating humans came at a cost beyond measure. And Adam, standing amidst survivors and allies, vowed silently, the next strike, the next battle, would not just be survival, it would be reclaiming what was theirs, with strategy, courage, and unbreakable resolve. The battlefield was chaos incarnate. Debris from destroyed ships floated in the void, twisting and spinning in silence, while distant explosions painted the darkness in fleeting flashes of light. Adam hovered in his fighter, scanning the Velari formations with sharp, calculating eyes. Every signal, every movement, every deviation mattered. The ambushes, the betrayals, the traps, they had tested humanity and their allies, but now something was shifting. Something imperceptible at first, then undeniable, the tide of battle was turning. Adam's heart raced, not from fear, but from the weight of responsibility. The Alliance was battered, their forces stretched thin, yet no hesitation clouded his decisions. Focus on the weak points, he commanded over comms, voice calm yet charged with urgency. Exploit the gaps. Protect the station. Every maneuver counts. Adapt or perish. Pilots responded instantly, weaving their fighters with precision, taking advantage of the Velari's overconfidence. This was human ingenuity at its finest, reactive, adaptive, and unpredictable. The turning point began with a single strike. Mara, the young pilot who had discovered the ancient system, executed a bold maneuver, weaving her fighter through a narrow corridor of debris, then unleashing an energy pulse amplified by the system. The pulse disabled a cluster of Velari cruisers, leaving them dead in space, unable to fire, and vulnerable to follow-up attacks. Cheers erupted in the comms, but Adam felt the emotional weight. Every victory was soaked in sacrifice, every pulse a reminder of those who had fallen. Seeing the opportunity, Adam coordinated a full-scale counteroffensive. All squadrons, converge on Sector 9. Flank from the north and south. Use every advantage. Human and allied ships moved like a single organism, adapting fluidly to the chaos around them. The ancient system hummed through the fleet, augmenting shields, sensors, and targeting systems, giving humans the edge they had long needed. The Velari fleet, once confident, now scrambled, their formations unraveling under pressure. Amid the chaos, Adam's fighter dove into the thick of combat, engaging multiple enemy ships simultaneously. Lasers scorched past his cockpit, debris flew in unpredictable arcs, yet he moved with precision, exploiting every weakness he could find. Beside him, Jorah executed a daring move, shielding a crippled alien frigate from destruction. Adam felt the familiar ache of grief tempered by pride. Humans had endured betrayal, near annihilation, and a trap designed to destroy them, yet here they were, adaptive, clever, and unyielding. The emotional weight pressed on him further when he saw a young human pilot caught in a crossfire, ship damaged and shields failing. Without hesitation, Adam maneuvered to draw enemy fire, guiding them away long enough for the pilot to escape. Risking himself to save another was instinctive, a reflection of the humanity that thrived even under the harshest conditions. The cost of survival was high, yet the willingness to protect others defined them more than any technology or strategy. The Velari, desperate now, attempted a coordinated retreat, trying to regroup and salvage their advantage. Adam anticipated it. "Do not let them flee," he shouted. "Cut off their escape routes. Force them to fight on our terms." Pilots adjusted, flanking enemy positions, using the ancient system to block sensor and communication channels. The fleet moved like a storm, relentless and precise, showing the Velari that humans did not just survive, they dominated through ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. Hours of relentless combat pushed both sides to the edge. The Velari fought with discipline, precision, and ruthlessness, but Adam and the humans had evolved in the crucible of betrayal and traps. Every move, every adaptive strategy, every risk taken had honed them into a force that was unpredictable, resilient, and devastatingly effective. The Velari fleet began to falter, their formations collapsing, their command disrupted, morale shaken by an enemy they had underestimated. Adam watched the turning point unfold with a mixture of pride and sorrow. Ships still burned, lives were lost, and the emotional weight of command pressed on him like gravity. Yet, even amid the grief, hope flourished. The Alliance had endured ambushes, counterattacks, and traps. They had survived betrayal and turned the tide with courage, intelligence, and unbreakable resolve. Humanity was proving its brilliance, not through brute force, but through adaptability, precision, and unity. Finally, the Velari command ship, the heart of their tactical coordination, emerged damaged and isolated. Adam seized the moment. Leading a concentrated strike with both human and allied ships, he directed an orchestrated attack that disabled its engines, leaving it vulnerable to capture or destruction. The Velari faltered, their morale shattered, retreat now inevitable. Humanity and their allies had reached the turning point. The tide of war had shifted. As silence settled briefly over the battlefield, Adam hovered in his fighter, breathing heavily, his chest tight with exhaustion and the emotional weight of victory. The survivors rallied, tending to damaged ships and injured pilots. The Alliance had survived, adapted, and proven itself. The Velari had been forced into retreat, and the first true advantage in the war had been seized. Adam looked out at the stars, the void indifferent, yet within the fleet, a quiet fire burned. Grief, loss, betrayal, and fear remained, but so did courage, ingenuity, and hope. He whispered to himself, resolute and fierce, "We have turned the tide. We have survived betrayal, traps, and impossible odds. Humanity endures. Humanity adapts. And humanity will reclaim what was taken from us." In the quiet aftermath, Adam felt the full weight of emotion, loss and pride, grief and hope, fear and determination. The turning point had been reached, but the war was far from over. The Alliance had survived, and the Velari would regroup, but humanity had proven one undeniable truth: no betrayal, no trap, no overwhelming force could break the unyielding will of humans. They had adapted, endured, and risen stronger, ready to face whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. The battlefield had quieted, but Adam knew better than to mistake the lull for peace. The Velari fleet was shattered but not destroyed. They would regroup, adapt, and strike again. Victory was not simply surviving, nor was it the retreat of the enemy. It was preparation, strategy, and foresight. The humans and their allied fleets needed more than courage. They needed precision, coordination, and the ability to strike with certainty. Adam understood that the next phase of the war required careful planning, daring decisions, and the unshakable resolve that had carried them this far. In the command chamber, Adam pored over star charts, sensor data, and intelligence reports. Every lost ship, every Velari movement, every anomaly detected during the turning point was analyzed for patterns. "We cannot rely on luck," he told the commanders. "The enemy is cunning, but we have intelligence, ingenuity, and resolve. Our advantage is not brute force, it is strategy. Every move we make must count, every risk calculated." His voice carried the weight of command and the emotional gravity of survival. Every life lost in previous battles was a reminder of what was at stake, every life remaining a motivation to fight smarter, not harder. The Alliance gathered, forming a council that spanned species and fleets. Adam laid out a plan that leveraged the ancient system they had discovered. "We now have a tool the Veilari cannot anticipate," he explained, gesturing to the pulsing holographic projection of the system. "It will enhance our shields, disrupt enemy sensors, and allow precision strikes without exposing our forces. But it is not a weapon of destruction alone. It is a tool of opportunity. We must use it wisely, strike decisively, and ensure that every action has purpose." The emotional weight in the room was heavy. Many of the Allied leaders still carried the scars of betrayal and loss, yet there was also a growing sense of hope. Humans had survived ambushes, counterattacks, and traps, and now, for the first time, they were on the offensive with clear advantage. Adam's words reminded them that courage was necessary, but intelligence and strategy were decisive. Every individual in the room understood that this could be the turning point of the war, not just a momentary victory. Adam assigned strike teams to targeted missions. Small units would harass Veilari supply lines, disrupt communication networks, and create diversions. Capital ships, reinforced by the ancient system, would hold critical positions and guard the fleet's core. Pilots were briefed on adaptive maneuvers, engineers on real-time system optimization, and every member of the Alliance understood that survival now depended on cooperation, precision, and resilience. As preparations concluded, Adam took a moment to address the fleet directly. His voice echoed through comms, calm yet filled with emotion. "We have been betrayed, attacked, and tested beyond measure. We have lost comrades, faced impossible odds, and endured despair. But we are still here. We are stronger, smarter, and more united than ever. Today, we act not just to survive, but to reclaim what was taken and to strike with precision. We fight with ingenuity, courage, and unyielding resolve. This is our strategy, and this is how humanity prevails." The first coordinated strike began at dusk. Human and allied ships moved like a single organism, precise and adaptive. Veilari forces, though numerous, were disoriented, having underestimated the humans' ability to consolidate knowledge and technology into strategy. Missiles were intercepted before launch, sensor networks disrupted, and communication links severed. The ancient system pulsed, shielding ships, amplifying targeting, and creating opportunities that even the Veilari could not anticipate. Adam led a squadron to strike at a Veilari command ship, their movements synchronized with allied flanking units. Every pilot executed adaptive maneuvers, improvising in real time to exploit gaps in the enemy formation. Laser fire lit the void, energy shields shimmered under attack, and debris spun like deadly ornaments through the battlefield. Yet, humanity's ingenuity dominated. For every Veilari maneuver, there was a counter, a diversion, or an innovative tactic that kept the initiative firmly in human hands. Amid the battle, Adam observed the emotional weight carried by every pilot and crew member. Losses from prior skirmishes, betrayal, and ambushes were not forgotten. Yet, determination burned brighter than grief. Each life lost strengthened resolve, each survivor's courage reinforced unity. Humans fought not just to survive, they fought to reclaim honor, to protect allies, and to assert intelligence and ingenuity as their greatest weapon. The critical moment arrived when the Veilari flagship, a massive warship commanding the remnants of their fleet, attempted a desperate breakout. Adam coordinated a precise strike. Allied squadrons drew the flagship into a trap, while human fighters, augmented by the ancient system, disabled its engines and shields. The Veilari, panicked and disoriented, were left vulnerable. Adam's pulse quickened as the final calculations were executed. One final maneuver, one coordinated effort, and victory would be theirs. The flagship fell silent, engines dead, systems disabled. The remaining Veilari forces scattered, retreating into hyperspace in defeat. Cheers erupted in the fleet, but Adam felt the emotional weight keenly. The victory had been hard-won, earned through strategy, adaptability, and unyielding human will. Lives had been lost, ships destroyed, and betrayal endured, but humanity had prevailed. They had turned knowledge, ingenuity, and courage into decisive action. As the fleet regrouped, Adam gazed at the stars, the void silent once more. The victory was not final, the war not over, yet for the first time since betrayal, humans and their allies held the upper hand. Every life lost, every challenge endured, every risk taken had culminated in this moment, a demonstration of the power of intelligence, adaptability, and unbreakable resolve. Adam's voice carried over the comms one final time. We have survived betrayal, counterattacks, and ambushes. We have endured loss and danger. Today, humanity has proven its brilliance, not through brute force, but through strategy, courage, and ingenuity. The Velari now know, betrayal against humans carries a cost they cannot imagine. We fight, we endure, and we prevail. Even in the silent aftermath, the fire within the fleet burned bright. Humans and allies, united and resilient, had demonstrated what it meant to survive, adapt, and strike decisively. The victory strategy had worked, but Adam knew the war was far from over. Yet, for the first time, hope was tangible. Humanity had turned the tide, and the galaxy would see the unyielding brilliance of human ingenuity and resolve. The void of space was calm now, eerily silent after the storms of fire, destruction, and chaos. Adam floated in the observation chamber of the command station, gazing at distant stars that seemed indifferent to the struggles of mortal beings. Yet within the hearts of the fleet, there was no silence. There was the hum of repaired engines, the quiet buzz of consoles monitoring remaining threats, and the steady rhythm of life that had endured betrayal, traps, and war. Humanity had survived the impossible. They had turned despair into strategy, loss into courage, and chaos into brilliance. The Velari had been forced to retreat, their fleet fractured and demoralized. The betrayal that had threatened to destroy humanity now served as a testament to human endurance. Every leader, every pilot, every engineer and soldier who survived carried the emotional weight of those who had fallen. They had faced death and deceit, yet they endured, proving that the human spirit was unbreakable. Adam's chest ached with both grief and pride. The memory of lives lost lingered like a shadow, but alongside it burned the fierce light of resilience, intelligence, and unity. In the command chamber, Adam convened the Alliance. Alien leaders from every corner of the galaxy looked upon him with respect and cautious trust. The ancient system hummed quietly in the background, a symbol of potential, power, and hope. Adam's voice carried clearly, calm yet resolute. We have survived betrayal, ambush, and overwhelming force. We have turned near defeat into victory. But this is not the end. We must not only hold what we have regained, we must prepare for the challenges ahead. Humanity survives not because we are the strongest, but because we are clever, adaptive, and unyielding. Every leader nodded, understanding the emotional truth in his words. The alliance had been forged in fire and adversity, tempered by trust earned through action rather than words. Plans were made to reinforce the fleet, repair damaged ships, and secure critical positions. Pilots were reassigned, engineers recalibrated systems, and the survivors began rebuilding what had been shattered. Yet, even in these practical tasks, there was a profound emotional undertone. Every action was an affirmation of life, hope, and the unbreakable will to endure. Adam walked among the crews, speaking quietly to those he passed, offering reassurance, guidance, and quiet pride. We survived when they expected us to falter. We endured when betrayal cut deepest. And we struck with precision when hope seemed lost. He watched as pilots adjusted their gear, engineers recalibrated shields, and alien allies worked side by side with humans, united by shared purpose and trust. The emotional resonance was palpable. Grief, courage, hope, and determination mingled in a symphony of survival. Outside, the stars remained indifferent, yet humanity had left its mark. The fleet's presence, coordinated and resilient, was a beacon across the void, a testament to the brilliance, ingenuity, and unyielding spirit of humans. Adam knew the Velari would recover, that the war was far from over, and that future battles would test them again. But he also knew something unshakable. Humans had survived the ultimate betrayals, turned near annihilation into advantage, and emerged not just unbroken, but stronger, wiser, and more united than ever. In the quiet moments, Adam reflected on the journey. The ambush, the counterattacks, the traps, the discovery of the ancient system, the alliance forged in adversity, and the decisive victory, all of it had led to this moment. Humanity had endured every test the galaxy had thrown at them, and they had done so not with blind strength, but with intelligence, adaptability, and unbreakable will. Every life lost, every ship destroyed, every betrayal suffered had forged them into a force the galaxy could not ignore. Adam's eyes swept across the fleet, lingering on the faces of survivors, human and alien alike. He whispered softly, almost to himself, yet loud enough for the universe to witness in spirit, "We have endured betrayal, outwitted enemies, and survived against impossible odds. Humanity thrives because we adapt, because we endure, and because we fight with intelligence, courage, and heart. The galaxy will know, the Velari will learn, and the future will remember. Humans do not surrender, humans do not falter, and humans always rise. The fleet moved forward, repaired and reinforced, a living testament to resilience and brilliance. Adam stood on the observation deck, feeling the emotional weight of command and the immense pride of survival. The stars stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to their struggle, yet humanity's resolve burned bright, a fire that no betrayal, no ambush, and no enemy could ever extinguish. Even in the stillness, Adam knew the truth of their journey. They had survived, they had adapted, and they had risen stronger than ever. And as humanity prepared for the challenges ahead, one certainty remained, unshakable and eternal. No matter the odds, no matter the betrayal, no matter the darkness that awaited, humans would endure, adapt, and prevail. The final resolve was clear, unwavering, and brilliant, a testament to the indomitable spirit that would carry them through every battle, every betrayal, and every challenge the galaxy could throw their way.